You are listening to Words with a Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. Coach Sess. Coach Sess. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. Coach Sess. Coach Sess. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. Coach Sess. Coach Sess. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. I am Mad Coach. Coach Sess. Coach Sess. You are listening to Words with a Mad Coach.
Mad World. Let's take a look at a Shark Tank and let's go over what the benefits of a Shark Tank would be for all participants. So basically, a Shark Tank is a training method in which you have one person operating as a main focus, and the other participants, the other athletes, fighters, trainees, sparring partners, whatever, they are the assistants who give the push to the person who is being focused on. And what this training method will do is increase one's combat conditioning, combat awareness, as well as his overall general fitness and conditioning for a fight. And so basically, the person in the middle, or the person who's being focused, is given, a designated time, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, before he has to switch out, a different training partner. So pretty much the focus stays in the whole time. And then after the designated time is up, then a new training partner comes in and they give the push. And depending on where you are in your training cycle, this could be, let's say we're 7 weeks out. I like using a 7-week format. 7 weeks out. I like to do this maybe just the first week, maybe no more than 2 rounds. So, and it's quite possible that I'll only use 2 people. So I'll use one person who is the focus and 2 people who come at him for 2 rounds, but they're basically splitting the rounds. So the rounds are usually 5 minutes. And so that means he'll go with each partner about 2.5 minutes. So if you do it right, basically these 2 rounds can really mimic 4. And even beyond that, depending on the skill level, the number of times the focus is actually going through a Shark Tank, you could probably get the benefit of 6 to 8 rounds just in these 2 rounds if it's done properly. But you need a good coach. You need a good coach to keep an eye on things. It's not so much about coaching the techniques and the fighting that's going on inside of these rounds, or the activity, I should say. I don't want to say fighting, because you don't always have to do a Shark Tank that's based on sparring. And but you want to have a coach that's diligent in terms of knowing when to pick it up and to slow it down. So you're going to need a good coach in that regard. The benefit for the focus is definitely that you get to see where he is. So he's measuring his fighting capacity at the moment. And at 7 weeks out, that's a lot of good information coming back at me, because then I'll know exactly how hard to push it, or how much work I have left to do, or how much I need to slow it down. And the benefit for the guys assisting, a lot of times the guys assisting, especially if they're younger in their fight careers, they're getting the benefit of what it feels like, a partial feel, what it feels like to go through a fight camp. And while the focus, let's say the focus is your main guy, let's say he's the most talented guy you have in the gym or whatever. Well, he's human, and so his output is going to depreciate round after round, and sometimes in each half. And what this allows to happen is the younger assistants, the guys who are working the push, they meet him on common ground, so to speak. So they're almost in the same realm as the main fighter, and they get to exchange skills with this fighter, and they get sort of an idea of how much how far they can go, or how much more they can go. It's kind of the same idea if you you take a kid who's faster and you take a kid who's, slightly slower, but has good athleticism, and you put them, you start them both at the starting blocks, but then at the last minute you make a change, and you give the slower guy 4 paces or whatever, just a bit of a head start. And so when you say go, that pretty much he's in the race a lot longer than he would be starting from the same platform. So it's pretty good for the guys who are just learning. Like I said, they get to feel what it's like to be in there with one of the better fighters without being overwhelmed, and they get to work on their skills. And what happens is basically long term, you ended up bringing them along to the point where they're the focus. Another benefit in the long term is if you go through enough Shark Tanks, you actually become used to it, and you get used to dealing with changing styles from round to round, different looks, different heights. One guy may be a southpaw, another guy orthodox. One guy may favor pushing a guy toward the cage, another guy may favor staying in the middle. So you actually learn to adapt to different styles in a very short time frame. So it takes a while to get to that point, because in the beginning you're probably going to be focused mainly on just how tired you are, which is normal. You're going to focus completely on I'm worn out, I'm tired. But another benefit of that is if you stay diligent to the thing, doing the training, you're going to get better conditioning. Super awesome, fantastic, amazing conditioning. So another benefit is that you get to work on your tools in isolation. So let's say, for instance, you have 2 training partners, and every 2.5 minutes you switch out. One guy is required to do Thai boxing with you, and another guy is required to do all clinching with you out of Thai boxing. So what happens is, even if the guys who are working the push, maybe they're not necessarily good at it, but because the focus is somewhat tired or somewhat depleted, he's on even level. He gets to work this, against a guy who's pretty skilled at it, but is a little depleted right now. So you're in that conversation with him, and he doesn't have to allow you to be in the conversation. He doesn't have to work with you, so to speak. You're developing this skill for yourself, you're developing this feel. And so at the end, of 6 weeks, 7 weeks, you leave this fire, even though you're doing nothing more than helping push. You leave this fire with a benefit. You leave this fire with a new skill that you actually have some confidence about. And because you've been in there with one of the better guys doing it, whenever you meet with someone who is not at the same level, you can almost feel the difference and feel as if, well, in this particular case, maybe I'm the better guy. And that's how your confidence kicks in, and then you become the better guy. So there's a huge benefit from being on the Shark Tank. I had a friend, Dave Kavanaugh, who once suggested to me, hey, coach, everybody, regardless of their status, whether they're a fighter or just a trainee in the gym, they should go through this. So I've tried to incorporate the Shark Tank as a regular part of training, at least once, twice a month. The fighters will go through it more often, of course, but out of a fight camp cycle, once or twice a month is pretty good, just to get used to it, just to get the feel, so that when you do go into a fight camp, you're not shocked and overwhelmed. So again, let's look at some benefits. The trainee, the focus is being measured. He gets to have a platform to tell him exactly where he is or isn't. The assisting guys get to work on isolation skills and bring themselves up to a level, especially skills that they might have had some concern about, some doubt. Everybody's going to get better conditioning. Also, because you're in the fire, you're going to probably walk away with new tools. That's the funny thing about it, is because if I'm fresh, or if I'm the best fighter and I'm fresh, then I'm always using certain tools to keep people away from me or to dominate the conversation. But if I have 4 or 5 guys thrown at me, then I'm depleting, then I have to come up with some new ways of doing things. And also because of the revolving door of different styles, and I'm going to end up developing new strategies and new tactics to deal with different types of fighters. Hey, look, I'm Coach Sess. You've had Words with the Mad Coach.